Okay, hello everybody. Alright, the reason I want to do this video today is chill hours. I want to talk about why chill hours are so important. And number two is, how do you find your chill hours for the area that you're in? Now, the house that I'm at, I moved here about a year and a half to 2 years ago. And being that I'm retired military, I've been all over and grown a variety of different fruit everywhere that I've lived. Now, when I moved to southern Alabama, on the Florida-Alabama line down here, we're actually in zone 8B. So I needed to find out what fruit trees would best fit my zone. And the general rule of thumb is if you go to your local stores and they sell those fruit trees, then more than likely those fruit trees will grow in your area. That's true. But that's not always the best. Sometimes you will find fruit trees that really don't belong in your area. Now, if you look here, this is a picture looking from the road back at my yard. And there's a peach tree right here. This is Florida Best. I got this fruit tree, this peach tree, last year. Right after we had a hard freeze, it was damaged at the big box store. And it was regular selling for about $60, and they had it on clearance for 90% off. So I bought this fruit tree for $6. Incredible buy. I put it in the ground. It fruited the same year that I put it in the ground. Now this year, if you notice, it's January and it's in full bloom. We have a very, very hard freeze coming tomorrow night. And I don't know if these blooms are going to survive or if it's going to knock it back so hard that I'm going to lose any chance of having fruit on this year. Now, if you get up close to this tree, you'll notice that there are some buds that are nowhere near opening. So I'm in hopes that maybe I'll be able to get something off of it. But so I started doing a little bit of research, making sure that my trees were in the right climate, because it had me guessing. Because I got this one that's blooming out. I got this apple tree here, still has leaves on it from last year, and I know you can't hardly see from the picture right here, but it still has last year's leaves on it. It has new growth from this year, and it's starting to bloom. I got a nectarine that's starting to bloom. I got a pear tree that still has last year's leaves on it. This apple tree right here has last year's leaves on it. So I got a lot of weird stuff going on. Now, last year this time, we had done had snow 3 times. It was a very hard year for us last year. And it wouldn't have messed with this fruit trees the way it did this year. But our early on winter has been very, very mild to where most everything has started pushing new growth. Now I have 15 fig trees back here in the back that run along our property line right here. Last week, every one of my fig trees had new growth on it. They were budding out. And then we got a freeze and it knocked the growth back. So we'll see how the fig trees react to that. So getting on to what I want to discuss here is how many chill hours do I actually get at my property, not 10 miles down the road where the elevation changes, 100 feet in one way or the other, or the next county over. I want to know what my chill hours are. So what I did is I bought a weather station and I put it right here on the top corner of my garden. I know you can barely see it, but there it is right there in this picture. Now, this little part of the weather station measures wind direction, wind speed, and measures rainfall. And if you look right here on the front, there's a little solar panel that help recharge the batteries, and it also has batteries on the inside also. Now, there's another section to this to this weather station that measures humidity and temperature, and that's this gauge. Now I've got it on this side of the tree because This is the north side of the tree, which is always in shade. I didn't want sun hitting this, because if sun hits this, then it throws the temperatures way off. Now I'm going to get something a little bit better to hang this up, and I'll put it out in the middle of the yard so that it gets good, accurate readings. But that'll probably be a few more months from now. Now, these two meters that I show you for this weather station feed back to another base unit, and I'm going to show you real quick right here. The weather station that I have is a LaCrosse. Now, the reason I chose the LaCrosse is price, and price only. I actually bought my used in an unopened box on Facebook yard sales for $50. Some lady bought it for her husband. He never put it up, had no interest in it. So I gave him the $50 and I got the weather station. So that's how I chose this weather station. Now, if I had unlimited funds and wanted to buy any weather station of my choice, I'd have probably went with a Davis. Davis measures a lot more, and they have a lot more things that you can upgrade and add to, and it's just a lot nicer weather station. But anyway, the weather station that I have, these two units right here feed information to the inside unit that I have here. And if you look on there, you can see everything that it measures. It measures wind, outdoor temperature and humidity, rain, and it also measures indoors temperature and humidity. And it gives you the forecast. And the forecast comes from the National Weather Service via wireless receiver. So you just plug it up and it automatically starts getting that signal. Now, I've got this connected to my Wi-Fi, and this feeds back to Weather Underground. And I chose to do this. I chose to feed my data that I gather at my garden, at my house, on my property, and send it over to Weather Underground. Now, what Weather Underground is this is owned by the Weather Channel. And they assign a weather station ID to my unit whenever it connects. So this is what it assigned to me, KFL Gandy 3. It detects that I'm so close to Florida state line that it actually has me showing up in Gandyville, Florida, which I don't think is a real city. It's more of a community, and I'm not actually in Florida. I'm actually in the Alabama. And you can kind of see on the map down here, this dotted line below the dotted line is Florida, and just a few hundred yards up the road is where I live in Alabama. Now, if I click right here, this gives information about my particular weather station. So you can look me up. Now, when you go to Weather Underground, you can hit search locations, or you can click this button right here, and this button will actually locate where you are on the map, and it'll put you in the closest proximity of other weather stations. Now, Weather Underground, what they do is they take a map of other people's weather stations that's in your area, and it kind of helps feed back to the Weather Channel and gives them more precise weather all across the globe. Now, if I was to span this all the way out, you could see a variety of different weather stations. And even in my area, these are the weather stations that have recently, or actually this one just recently came online this weekend. Northview High School actually put up a weather station over the weekend, and that's brand new. And I don't know exactly where these other two weather stations are, but anyway, that's how this website functions. Is it gathers weather data and uploads it to a central area. Now, if you look on here, this is all the weather data from my weather station, and if you scroll down, it gives you it tracks it and turns it into data formats, and you can switch over to a table and look at it in minute by minute what the weather has been. Now, how I use this to determine what my chill is for my fruit trees is if I take this weather call sign, and you can click on any of these and it'll give you the call sign for anybody's weather station in your area. But I can copy this call sign and I come over to this website that someone put together called www.GetChilledNet, and I put my weather station in right there. Now, we didn't get our first frost until sometime in November. It was later on before we even got our first frost, but I just chose November 1st. And today's the 28th, so I put the 28th in there. And then you hit calculate chill, and you'll see it go out, and it'll grab weather from that weather station on Weather Underground, and it'll tell you how many chill hours you have experienced so far. This doesn't have to be your weather station. You don't actually have to own a weather station to get these numbers. You can get someone that's close to you. But I wanted to know specifically me, how many chill hours am I getting? And chill hours is anything that's below 45 degrees. So it comes out to 570 chill hours. And tomorrow, if I look back in here, this number will go up again. It's probably enough to change hour for hour right now. But anyway, I don't know what these other models are. I don't know what a dynamic model is, or a positive Utah model, or a regular Utah model. That's not important to me. What's important to me is anything that's below 45 degrees. How many chill hours I'm producing. Okay, now when you're selecting fruit trees for your area, do a little bit of research to make sure that you're choosing a proper tree. Now, that peach tree that I showed you earlier that's blooming out, that is a Florida best. So if you were to look on Florida, University of Florida website, you can look at Florida best. It only needs 250 chill hours to go into dormancy, and then it's ready to break dormancy, come out, and start blooming. So when we got a little bit of a chill early on, and it jumped up there to 250 hours, it thought its winter was over whenever it warmed up and it started blooming. But honestly, winter's not over here until we get close to 800 hours here every year. So do a little bit of homework. Make sure you're using the best tree for your area. I'm not sure if this tree is going to actually survive in our area because the chill hours being so far off. But for $6, it was worth a gamble. So we'll see. Now, you'll see whenever you buy some plants, it'll tell you that what zone it's rated for. I'm actually in zone 8B. And this apple tree that I found on Just Fruits and Exotics, this shell apple was actually created in Escambia County, Alabama, the same county that I live in. Pretty good indication that this apple is good for this area since it was bred here. Zone 8B. Now, you don't know what zone you're in. You can go to the USDA website, put in your zip code, hit find, and it'll tell you what zone you're in and what your temperatures get down to on average for a winter. So this one actually has us listed at 8B. Now, the shell apple was bred in the same county, but it may be in a slightly different growing zone based on where I'm at and where that apple tree was actually bred. But anyway, now we were at a feed and seed store the other day, and we saw another apple. We are thinking about maybe putting on the property and seeing how it does, and it's the red Fuji. And this is one of the ones you'll see in the store if you ever go buy apples. And if you look, it's rated at 450 hours below 45 degrees. So this website, Dave Wilson, tells you that how many chill hours that apple needs. Like I said, in our area, we get on average 800 chill hours a year. So this apple would probably do pretty well in our area. Now, if you go into and try to get an apple that's rated for zone 5 or zone 6, this area would not get enough chill hours for that apple tree to go dormant, come out of dormancy, bloom and set fruit. So it probably wouldn't survive, and it wouldn't do well down here even if it did survive. So make sure that you get a fruit tree that's rated for your area. All right, so I think I went over everything that I wanted to, and kind of give you an idea on how to find the chill hours in your area, and also like the Weather Underground station, because it can also track my rainfall. If you come right here to the charts, you can pull up whatever mode you're looking for and pull up the history, and it'll tell you how much rainfall you got in your area too, which is great if you're tracking for your garden. So that's just one extra thing. All right, well, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later.